Well, morning, fellow zombies. It's about 3:24 in the morning. It is Wednesday, the 19th of April, 2023. And we were John Z, emotionally disturbed and sleep deprived this morning. Welcome to the Diary of the Reaver named John Weaver, which would be me. Okay, dreams. And memes, I may call this one. I'm still trying to get over a particular dream that really rattled the living crap out of me. You gotta have those kind of dreams, don't you? Loved ones, one way or another, get represented in one form or another. But if I do have loved ones represented in one form or another, then I don't understand it. One form is it. An image of my mother, one way or another, if she was still alive. What I don't get is when they're supposed to represent my mother, but I don't recognize her as my mother. I've had dreams like that. Also of my brother, but my brother would be distinctive. And it's not when I dream about him as a young kid. I remember him in his adult stage, in his adult life, and not to mention the late stage, just before he passed. Short haired, and lots of teeth. Sound familiar? And glasses at times, or no glasses at times. But he would have a smile on some occasions. At other times, he'd be griping and grumbling. Or other times, he'd just be looking at you straight faced. Last images of my brother. And I remember those images. I also remember some of the images where he used to be a lot younger. But in the times that he was experiencing life for the last time, I never saw his death face. Everyone's got him. When there's no life in the body, and the body just relaxes. I didn't remember seeing that. I didn't want to see that on Dave. It was bad enough I saw that on Mama. And it was hard enough to see a body in my dream laying face down. But it wasn't her, but it was supposed to be her, but it wasn't her. I can't explain it, except I knew it wasn't her. But somehow something was trying to tell me this is Mama. I'm like, that's not Mama. That's not my Mama. I know my Mama. That wasn't her. She was supposed to be okay. She looked stiff as a corpse. My Mama was dead. I already know my Mama is dead. I constantly know that she's dead. I don't have to be reminded of that in reality. In a dream, that doesn't make sense to me. It still doesn't. I see images on computer devices that I have. A cell phone, a laptop, and another laptop over here. So I got different images of how my family used to look like. Things for me to remember the times of what happened and how I was and how I felt I should be during those times. And how either we were alive or we still had issues in those days. But in my dreams, sometimes, I will see my family float in and out. But only at certain times, and I don't know when. Either they're too stressful or I'm in a situation where they're floating in and out, just reminding me of something. But it drives me crazy when I see someone that I cared about a great deal not being recognized as my mother, but she's supposed to be my mother. It just doesn't work for me that way. Either you are or you're not. And it drives me crazy when I get in those kind of dreams. Surely somebody's got to have that same situation regarding their loved ones in their dreams. They recognize them, but they don't recognize them. So it's kind of a contradiction over here. And I woke up trying to go through the process of checking out our memes to understand if there was anything out there that may be jumping out at me. Not much. Except for one particular meme that was talking to me about grieving in process. And I'm thinking to myself, you got to be, well, as steps. As the first step that we have a hard time getting into. Well, somebody can look at the steps. For me, it's a process. But there is no steps. It's just a huge wave that starts the whole chain reaction. And I was trying to explain to them on when grief hits you hard, the first instant that you hear that your loved one is gone, it's like you are completely stunned. You're standing still. Your brain center is trying to figure things out. It's trying to make logical sense. Your brain is still trying to make logical sense out of anything and everything, including chaotic patterns. That's what our brains try to do, reorganize things into a nice logical zeros and one pattern that it can actually recognize. But sometimes, or practically most of the time, it doesn't. So we have to deal with the chaotic. But the chaotic situation concerning about a lost loved one, that's the thing that gets to me. Because it hits you like an emotional electromagnetic pulse in your electronics and you're fried. The brain tries to switch on automatic survival mode. You have to function. So you're acting very robotic in certain situations. You may be still like, my family member's dead, or my friend is dead, or someone that I care about is dead. Because the disbelief is the brain still trying to sort the information out. The vested interest of your life is gone. The shock, the awe of it. You're trying to sort out the chaos. You're trying to sort it out. And it's starting up the process that's going to be irrevocably changing you. Nothing will be normal unless time has already passed by and there's no knowledge of how much time is supposed to be. That things get stabilized to a point where you're functioning. But your brain has to work. Your brain has to go in survival mode. It has to analyze what's going on right now. And that's my function at times. Growing up as a kid, you're going through the process yourself. Now, I don't know if anybody actually was born, had a few years life, and then experienced death in any which way, shape, or form, but comes back to life again and has a quote unquote normal life. And I'm still trying to understand that one. I'm still trying to understand how a normal life is supposed to be. Life is supposed to be life lived. But for me, it isn't. I'm still trying to figure that out. Life is supposed to be lived. So you got to live it. And some people actually live it with a lot of joy, but me, I hadn't. Still trying to sort the shit out left and right after getting died on a table, come back to life at the age of 4 years old, and I'm supposed to be normal? But then again, yeah. Because as a kid, you roll with the punches. But you didn't know that you're starting to up the scar tissue inside. Till you're an adult and you start figuring shit out and like, oh my God, why did I ever react this way? Because I was a new kid, still trying to understand life. What changed? What changed? If I hadn't had the heart surgery, if I hadn't had the heart condition, would I have been a quote unquote normal kid? Maybe. Would I have been emotionally screwed up? I don't know. All I do know is I had heart surgery and then the world wasn't the same, but I kept trying to force it to be the same. Because I didn't have the context or perspective or anything else. I was a growing kid. I had to roll with the punches. I had to deal with the shots. I had to deal with the anger. I had to deal with People driving me crazy at this point over here. I had to be in depressional states. How do you get in relationships? How do you deal with this? You're supposed to be a normal kid. But there wasn't anything normal about me anyway, except being a nerd and loving books. And to me, that was the most important thing I could do is love books, love reading, love writing, being part of the literature world, understanding literacy a bit, understanding science fiction, understanding things of fantasy, but then isolating myself left and right. Isolating myself from family members, isolating from everything else. Go in survival mode when you see a favorite aunt of yours, or aunt of mine actually. Uh, Going through health problems and didn't even understand that at all. But I didn't have anybody to walk me through this. At least memory serves that I don't have anybody doing that for me during that time. I remember. Oh, hang on a second. Bob Illman used to be associate pastor at a favorite church. Who would visit the ladies from time to time. He and his family, and his wife Jean, forgot the kids' names, but they would come over, and we would entertain them for a bit. And they would talk to Grandma, and I would talk to him. But also Bob would take me outside and talk to me about death, about life, because I was still scared about it. And he kept trying to tell me about biblical stuff. It just went over the head. I had already been through the experience. He didn't. I guess we didn't connect on that kind of part. He's too much of the teacher. He's too much of the lecturer of the Bible, the enthusiast of the church pastor team. John Nagel would teach you a few things here and there about the Bible and of the scriptures, and try to produce his own. But to me, I think Bob Hillman was more alive and more animated than John Nagel was. Been to his house once. He had made his house open for his congregation to come through to meet the family. I thought he was a nice guy. I really didn't realize that he was wooden, as in, you know, pretty much wooden. Not animated as much. Kind of reminded me of a stiff board, but still he was a nice guy to talk to. Bob I liked better because he was animated. He focused. He was lasered on it. He was lasered on you. But we still didn't. I don't know if I actually described it to him. Maybe his interest about death or something like that was focused more on me. Maybe because he was trying to figure out how the hell I was handling this damn thing, and he still wanted me to have a better positive attitude because I died 3 times, came back to life, and emotionally screwed up. I was trying to fit in with everybody. I had to take it easy on myself physically because they didn't want me to have any more issues. I did have more medical issues on this one. And it still disturbed me. But I missed the guy. He's been dead for these 20 or 30 years, I think. And I missed the guy. I could sure use his insides right about now. And I was experiencing people dying on me left and right. It was just shock. It's one thing when you hear about it. One minute they're alive and the next minute they're dead, and the shock hits you. But it's the rolling ones. It's the tsunami effect that gets to you. You see this damn thing coming to you, and you're just standing there on the shoreline. You see this emotional tidal wave ready to nail your ass. And you're watching this damn thing. You're notating every note of it, of every image of it until it hits you. It's the ones that you don't see coming that really puts you in a shock and awe, or shock period. I had to keep comparing Mama's death and David's death with each other, and there was the differences I kept saying. Mama was like dealing with Grandma. We knew death was coming, but we didn't realize it until she had the last stroke out, and she was at the hospital. Last 2 or 3 weeks of her life. Well, David and I were. Mama and Dave kept going over to Queen of Angels. I was trying to remember that hospital on Rinaldi, right by Sepulveda. And it's trauma center still these days. Just a second. Yeah, I'm going to be doing this one. I have to. I would think I'd be remembering these things left and right. Grandma went to this particular hospital because it was a Catholic hospital. My grandmother was Catholic in faith. They still take everybody else over there, but my grandmother was a Catholic. She didn't go to Northridge Hospital. If she did, I didn't know about it. But she sure as hell didn't go to Kaiser, that's for sure. No, she didn't. No, she didn't. There was the hospital out there. Okay, what do we got? Currently, it's what I'm trying to find out. I think past the freeway. There we are. Providence Holy Cross. That's what I thought it was. Holy Cross Hospital was very devout in Catholicism and faith and belief. But they were excellent surgeons. Hell of a trauma center. They and Northridge were the only two I recognize so far as the only two trauma centers in the San Fernando Valley. Grandma would have been considered as a trauma center situation, but since she was Catholic, it's a close by hospital. The closest one we had, Northridge wasn't. The last 3 weeks were difficult in those days. Seeing my grandma going through that long process. We didn't. We said our goodbyes. Mama and Dave stayed there a lot longer. Didn't want me to stick around as much. It was hard as hell to see that she go that way. She wasn't even recognizing anybody as much. Seeing Mama go through that situation, she was intubated as when she got when she started dying. She never said a word after that. Too much tube in my mouth and life support given her. She really didn't want that to happen. She wanted to die with dignity. Well, she lost that dignity, unfortunately. I guess maybe she's still pissed off about that one. I wouldn't blame her. I wouldn't blame her anyway for her being pissed off at me and Dave. It just would have been better if she died at home. Maybe sometimes that's the reason why I don't see her as much. Maybe she's still pissed off at me. I guess there's nothing I can make up for that one. Probably not. But hitting me like a sledgehammer? Shit, yeah. Tsunami effect? Whatever kind of description I can put into it is just sometimes pales in comparison because when it hits, it hits. Sometimes it's gradual and sometimes it's a major shock to the system. Regardless, it's still a shock to the system. When my brother and I got the phone call concerning about Mama, like about an hour and a half after we got home, we were laying down and resting. We got the call, and then it hit. It hit. But we knew she was going to go. We had the machines turned off. We already had said our stuff. We already put in the damn paperwork. A chicken scratch on a form. Signing off on life and death. And then getting the call. She was already gone during that time. Her body was just dying slowly. Just didn't know when to stop. I had to keep believing that one because I don't think she'd be able to deal with everything for 19 days in a damn critical care unit bed. My God. She couldn't even watch news. Wasn't paying attention to anything. There was no way. She was just... It was like looking at Grandma all over again. I had a hard time with religion during that time as well. My grandmother was in a place that was supposed to be a state of grace. I was saying my grandmother died right in front of me and didn't even realize it. But when she was in that hospital for the last time, I realized it. And it hurt like hell, scared the hell out of me. One day when I put Ma into the hospital the last time, we both knew in our guts this was it. She was doing a death growl. There was no way she was coming back home. And that hurt like hell. We talked about it with friends. We tried to talk about it with each other. We couldn't even do that because it was hurting too damn badly. We had to talk about it with everybody else just to get it out. And I was scared shitless. It was like a major blow of life. But the ultimate blow was seeing my brother. They say it's a process. No, it's a sledgehammer upside the head. It's knocking you out of your own reality and your own sense, and then you realize what the hell is going on. And there's not a damn thing you can do about it. Not one damn thing. You had to take care of it. You had to take care of things. You had to go automatic. The brain's on survival mode. It has to survive. It has to keep the whole body stable. We have to keep functioning. We have to keep functioning. Turn the emotions down. You don't get the cry. You don't get the... You're in a state of shock right now because your whole life has been changed irrevocably. And again and again. Every time you get a new pet, family member, there's another one. There's another one. Don't allow yourself to fit inside your mind and your soul deal with shit until you're shattered into pieces. How much can I understand? Yeah, put the back piece showing up somewhere near. Fine, I'm functioning more. I wonder if one day Steel Magnolia comes out. I can't watch the damn anymore. Before Ma passed, my family would watch it and enjoy it because we loved the performances of the actresses in it. And we knew about, you know, life and death and celebration of it. But like Olivia Cox going against Shirley MacLaine's character, her rivals, they laughed with each other, cried with each other, and butted heads, even with even with the other actresses and actors. Garrett was going to head with Shirley MacLaine's obligations with humor. At the end, that's when you hear Shirley MacLaine going up to the top and just getting up. Acknowledgement. Mad before I could deal with that going crazy one. Her dealing with the grief. But the men were supposed to cry about focusing on the lady, but they didn't focus on the guy to how they're going to be dealing with it. But they're trying to hold it in. They're trying to build pillars. That was the thing about us guys. We're supposed to be crying our eyeballs out like crazy when hell. Was being taught to me all the time. Guys are supposed to be tough. We're supposed to be brave. We're supposed to be pillars. I have been shattered, pushed, prodded. I had gone crazy. I had lost family. Mad damn me. I had been pissed off. I had been thoroughly destroyed. I wanted to commit suicide. Yeah, thoughts goes through the head. There are tools about. And every time I'm thinking about stuff and seeing how easy it would be. So, are you fucking kidding me? Are you absolutely fucking kidding me? You're going to be doing this shit? And the thing about is suicide. But suicide is the last scream at people saying I needed help and nobody was there. In a dark situation. Everything like suicide postings right on Facebook. People always going on. I'm constantly pressing that thing out. I can't. I know what it does to people. I know more and more. Is that the statistic? Is what it does to you. I had a friend of mine, young, 7th grade, first semester for a bench. His big brother, Greg, down at school. How are you supposed to deal with sibling rivalry shit? Man, he was depressed all the time. There was a guy named I called him. He was a tall kid. I think he was 6 foot or larger than that. Probably tall for his outfit. I'll tell you how much. He could be a back player. It was enough. I think it was that up. But he was a nice kid too. And we hung around with Jimmy. Jimmy was a small kid. He was smaller than me. And Baker was also. Greg Baker was ahead of him. He was always picking on him. One day, for the semester, we get word. We hear from the principal. Enough that I actually had to uh, add time. I lost my yearbook I had for him. All the time I was over there, keeping track of my pictures, my friends, family, everything else during that time. When I lost my books a long time ago, when Dave and I were having issues, we lost a lot of our personal stuff in it too. That pissed me off because in the first yearbook of going over to Kennedy, or going to Patrick Henry, it was Jimmy Baker's picture in it. And I remember the kid. He may have looked like a small nerd kid. Plaid button shirts with glasses almost thick. Short hair. A nice kid when you got to know him. He was a good friend. Greg wasn't himself afterwards for the next semester. Greg left the campus. Probably got transferred out. But I imagine he was thoroughly depressed because he lost his brother. For whatever reason, I felt sorry for the guy. Still do. But it tore a chunk out of me at that point because I lost a friend. And I didn't know how to help him. He tried to reach out for help, I guess, maybe one way or another, but I guess nobody listened to him, not even the adults. And I stuck with that. I kept that memory alive in me. In order to have a friend, you gotta be a friend, and maybe I wasn't friend enough, and I kept blaming myself for this situation. These days, there's enough blame to go around for other things happening in life, but I still have to be reminded of the lesson because suicide does change a hell of a lot of people, and they just don't realize it until it happens. Even if a person's in trouble with the damn thing, it's hard to tell because when they put up the self-defense mechanism, they put up the veneer, they put up the wall, they put up whatever kind of defense they've got, a certain attitude, a certain way of walking, of denial, of trying to make sure everything's fine. But you're sensing that he isn't or she isn't fine, that they are just depressed as hell and locked up mentally and physically. No one visiting them at this point over here. Sometimes I kept wondering whether or not I was going to be losing my mind or losing everything else. Sometimes I am like that. I lose it a little bit here and there. I still have to try to regain what's left of my sanity and my humanity. The things I'm still trying to take care of right now mean a lot to me. I went back to college because I needed to complete this damn thing because it was pissing me off all these years. I kept kicking myself in the ass that I wasn't ready for college when I was a kid going out of high school. I was supposed to be doing great in the damn thing. I always had high expectations, and I failed her on that one. And I felt the failure all the damn time while I was working my ass off because I should have been. 30 years doing the should have beens on my ass. Working for survival. And I kept that damn thing in my back of my mind. Because I kept seeing people with high school graduates getting lower recognition and lower pay and low end jobs, while the ones with the certificates, with the academia lettering on it, they would get better. I wouldn't. Doesn't matter how much effort I would put into the situation. And sometimes I had to admit that maybe I wasn't good enough or smart enough for people. I may have been well read, but it doesn't mean I was actually well smart. And sometimes I felt that way. I was working my ass off for a long while. Didn't know my ass off on hot rock. Struggle like crazy. I wasn't getting anywhere. Except trying to keep a paycheck going. I wasn't smart. Sometimes I wonder if I really was. Maybe I would have been better. But I still didn't have the maturity. I didn't have the perspective or context when I came out of high school. I didn't demonstrate if I actually had the intelligence during that time. Maybe a decade earlier when a favorite uncle of mine had me tested. He knew how imaginative and bright I could be, or actually was during that time. And yeah, I had stories that I built things out of Lego and I made things out of the damn thing. It didn't, you know, okay, fine, I made spaceships out of the damn thing. I made a space out of something. Big deal. They all saw something different in me. I didn't recognize it. I didn't even acknowledge it half the time. I just had to fall in line. But I just couldn't be regular. I couldn't be normal. My family had joked with me for years that I was a changeling until that joke fell flat. These days, I wonder, am I a changeling? Maybe somebody got the best end and I got the worst end. But I didn't think so. I was fiercely loyal to my brother and my mother. They're gone. And I still have to be loyal to them. Doesn't matter. It matters in here to me. Doesn't matter if anybody else thinks that they're, no, targets that they can go after me and say, oh, let's hurt him because he's close to him and will take enjoyment out of the damn thing. Go ahead. Because the thing of it I know is every time they keep doing that damn shit, they're going to get themselves buried alive like the worms they are, one way or another. And I'm not the one going to be involved in any of it. But I don't have to take the satisfaction of it because it hurts like hell. Because some of those people who do that are the ones that actually made a little investment in their life. And it hurts like hell when I can't make amends to something that I don't know about. I know this is a long ass video, but it's something I had to get off my damn chest. Pain, suffering, I know it's a normal thing in life these days sometimes. It's not a constant thing of joy. But when joy does come around and we're actually in the moment, we have to savor that moment, make it ours. And then that, it's just a day by day struggle. I wake up in the morning and I have to deal with what's going on. Sometimes it's the same routine, monotonous situation. I can't say that grief is a constant process. I can say that grief is a process. Sometimes it has its moments, and other times I have sanity, clarity, perspective, context. I can understand more. I could try talking about it more. If I'm triggered, then I'm screwed. If I go through the crying, I go through the crying. Men can cry. Men can feel. Men can go through this shit. But it's our upbringing. It's our education. It's our training to be pillars. I guess we have a problem concerning about manufacturing issues of pillars. See, it doesn't matter what kind of material that you use. It's all disintegratable. It takes time, pressure, and plenty of events to tear your ass apart until you're back down to the nub. So you either try to rebuild a damn pillar bit by bit and have the damn thing shaky as hell. You try to find some way to get a new pillar installed if we could. Unfortunately, there's nothing manufactured for our internal struggle that we have. There's no manufacturer out here on Earth that can give us the pillar of strength we need to continue forward so people can continue to lean on us. Bet you if it is, we have to continue to lean on everybody else while still trying to rebuild our own pillar so we can try passing it on. But there have been times that we use that pillar as an excuse to lean on everybody else instead of your own self. Bet you it is. I've closed a lot of things off. People don't want to lean on me, but they hardly ever want me to lean on them. And if they do, they'll be surprised if I actually make the call for it. Yeah. Yeah, we'll see.